My mother-in-law stole my $8,000 wedding bracelet the day after my wedding. Where's the bracelet? I stared at the empty jewelry box. I took it, my mother-in-law said, walking in from the doorway with an air of entitlement. Why? You married into the He family. What's yours belongs to the He family. I turned to look at her. The wedding was yesterday, and she was already making her move today. I bought that before the wedding. Before or after, it makes no difference. It all belongs to the He family. She waved her hand dismissively. I'll keep it safe, we might need it later. I took a deep breath. That bracelet cost 80,000 yuan. I had bought it with my own salary on May 12, 2023. You're not giving it back? I'm not. What are you going to do about it? I took out my phone. Just remember, my surname is Lin, not He. The wedding had taken place on October 20th. With 200 guests and a bride price of 180,000 yuan, my mother-in-law had been beaming with delight. That day she had held my hand and said, "From now on, you're part of the He family." At the time I had found that sentiment heartwarming. Looking back now, I realize it was a trap. October 22nd, the day after the wedding, I stepped out of the shower and found the jewelry box open. The bracelet was gone. It was a gold bracelet weighing 8 shen and costing 80,000 yuan that I had bought on May 12, 2023. I had saved up the money for it over 2 years. Mom, have you seen my bracelet? I asked, walking into the living room. My mother-in-law was watching TV. She didn't even look up. I took it. Why? You married into the He family, so what's yours belongs to the He family, she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I was stunned. I bought that before we were married. Before or after marriage, it makes no difference. My mother-in-law finally glanced at me. You're He Jian's wife now. Your things belong to the He family. I'll keep it safe for you, we might need it later. Need it for what? You'll find out later. She refused to say more. I stood in the living room not knowing what to say. He Jian came out of the bedroom and noticed my expression. What's wrong? Your mom took my bracelet. Isn't it fine for mom to keep it? He said casually. It's just sitting there whether it's with you or with mom. But it's mine. We're all family. Why make a distinction between yours and mine? He Jian walked over and patted my shoulder. Come on, don't overthink it. I looked at him. He hadn't been like this before we were married. Back then he used to say, Mom is just like that, don't let it bother you. I'll look out for you. And now? I want it back. Lin Yu, don't be so petty. He Jian frowned. It's just a bracelet. Is it really worth making a fuss over? 80,000. So what if it's 80,000? You're my wife now. Your money is our family's money. I fell silent. So this is what marriage is like. That evening I called my best friend Xiaomei. That's outrageous. Xiaomei was furious. He laid a hand on you the day after the wedding? That's shameless. What should I do now? Do you have proof? Proof that the bracelet is yours? I do. I opened my phone. I have the purchase receipt and the transfer records right here. Then that makes things easier, Xiaomei said. Don't panic. Let me ask around for you. After hanging up, I looked at the receipt. May 12, 2023. Gold bracelet. 78,000 yuan. Paid via transfer from my salary account. At the time, He Jian and I had only known each other for a year. We weren't even engaged yet. It was my premarital property. Why should I have to give it to my mother-in-law? The next morning, my mother-in-law went out. I knocked on He Jian's door. I need to talk to your mom. Talk about what? About the bracelet. That again. He Jian sounded impatient. Can't you stop making such a fuss about it? 80,000 isn't a small sum. Fine, fine. You two can talk when mom gets back. He waved his hand dismissively. I'm off to work. The door closed. Standing in the living room, I suddenly felt a chill. Is this really my home? That afternoon, my mother-in-law returned, carrying groceries. Mom, can we talk? I walked over to her. Talk about what? The bracelet. Still on about that? Her expression darkened. Why are you being so unreasonable? Let me tell you something. Since you married into the He family, you have to follow our rules. What rules? A daughter-in-law's possessions must be handed over to her mother-in-law for safekeeping. I laughed. What era is this rule from? That's just how things are in the He family. She sounded completely self-righteous. If you didn't like it, you shouldn't have married into the family in the first place. I want it back. Not a chance. I bought it before we were married. It's my personal property. You're my daughter-in-law now, so what's yours belongs to the He family. She waved her hand. Enough, say no more. I have to cook. She walked into the kitchen. I stood there motionless. She simply wouldn't listen. That evening Hee-jin came home. Did you talk? He asked. Your mom won't give it back. Just let it go then, Hee-jin said, sitting down. It's just a bracelet. What's there to argue about? Hee-jin, that's worth 80,000 yuan. I know it's 80,000. He looked at me. But so what? You're my wife now. Your money is family money. What's the problem with mom holding on to it for safekeeping? The problem is, I bought it before we were married. What difference does it make whether it was before or after the wedding? I looked at him. So, he thought exactly the same way his mother did. Didn't you say before we got married that you'd protect me? Hee-jin paused. I am protecting you. In what way? He was speechless. I turned and walked back to my room. I couldn't stay in this house anymore. The next day I went to a law firm. It was a referral from Xiaomei. The lawyer's surname was Chun. I understand your situation, Lawyer Chun said, looking at my receipt. You purchased this before the marriage, so it counts as premarital personal property and is protected by law. So, can I get it back? Of course, Lawyer Chun said. If the other party refuses to return it, you can call the police. It would constitute the crime of misappropriation. Call the police? Yes, Lawyer Chun said firmly. No one has the right to appropriate premarital personal property. Your mother-in-law's actions are potentially illegal. I felt reassured. There's one more thing, Lawyer Chun said. Did you have a notarized prenuptial agreement regarding your assets? I was taken aback. I did. When we got engaged, I had proposed notarizing a prenuptial agreement concerning my assets. Hee-jin was reluctant at first, asking, Does this mean you don't trust me? I replied, It's not about a lack of trust, it's about protecting both of us. In the end he agreed. We went to a law firm to have the agreement notarized in September 2024. My prenuptial assets consisted of 150,000 yuan in savings and a bracelet worth 80,000 yuan. A total of 230,000 yuan. The notarized document was at my parents' home. I do, I said. That makes things much easier, Lawyer Chen nodded. You now have two pieces of evidence. The purchase invoice and the notarized prenuptial agreement. These are sufficient to prove the bracelet belongs to you. So what should I do now? First, have a formal conversation with your mother-in-law. Present the evidence and demand its return, Lawyer Chun advised. If she still refuses, we can issue a formal legal notice. If that doesn't work, we can call the police. I took a deep breath. Thank you, Lawyer Chun. When I got home, my mother-in-law was in the living room. Mom, let's talk. I sat down. Are you going to talk about the bracelet again? She asked impatiently. Yes. I took out my phone. Here is the purchase invoice dated May 12, 2023. I bought it using my own salary account. Hee-jin and I weren't even engaged back then. My mother-in-law glanced at it. So what? That means it's my premarital property. Premarital property belongs to the He family too. No, it doesn't. I remained calm. Premarital property is protected by law. It is personal property, and no one else has the right to claim it. My mother-in-law was stunned. Besides, I had the property notarized before we married, I continued. The notarized document clearly states that the bracelet is my personal premarital property. You. Her expression changed. You actually had it notarized. Yes. That means you don't trust my son. It protects both parties. I looked at her. Mom, I'm telling you nicely. The bracelet must be returned to me. I'm not giving it back. If you don't, I'll call the police. Call the police? She laughed. You dare? Do you realize you're a member of the He family now? If you dare call the police, I'll make Hee-jin divorce you. I smiled too. Mom, you're mistaken. I stood up. My surname is Lin, not He. If you want Hee-jin to divorce me, he can do it any time. But the bracelet, you have to give it back. She was so furious she couldn't speak. I turned and walked back to my room. When Hee-jin came home that evening, my mother-in-law immediately complained. Your wife wants to call the police, she said indignantly. She threatened to call the cops and have me arrested. Hee-jin knocked on my door. Lin, you come out. I opened the door. You're going to call the police? He looked furious. If she doesn't return it, I will. Have you lost your mind? Hee-jin glared at me. That's my mother. That's my bracelet. It's just a bracelet. Is it really worth calling the police over? 80,000 yuan. That's not a small sum. I looked at him. Hee-jin, let me ask you. If someone took your money, what would you do? That's different. How is it different? My mother isn't an outsider. But she took my property, I said. And it was mine before we married. It's protected by law. Jian fell silent. Apologize to her, he finally said. Apologize to my mother, and we'll let this go. Why should I? Because she's an elder. Jian suddenly shouted. Don't you know how to respect your elders? I looked at him. Was this really the Jian I knew? Before we married, he had been gentle and considerate. After the wedding, he was like a different person. I won't apologize, I said. Either the bracelet gets returned or I call the police. You. Jian turned and stormed off in a rage. I closed the door and sat on the bed. My hands were trembling. It wasn't that I wasn't afraid, but I couldn't back down. If I gave an inch, they would only push for more. The next day, I went back to my parents' home. When Mom saw me, she was startled. What happened? I explained the situation to her. What? Mom was furious. She took your bracelet the very day after the wedding? What kind of mother-in-law is that? I want to get it back. You absolutely must get it back. Dad was angry too. You bought that before the wedding. What right does she have to it? Mom took a document folder out of the cabinet. Here is the notarized document for your premarital assets. You left it with me back then. I opened it and looked at the figures. Premarital assets. 150,000 yuan in savings, an 80,000 yuan gold bracelet, totaling 230,000 yuan. Date of notarization, September 15, 2024. With this, she has no grounds to refuse returning it, Dad said. I nodded. I stayed the night at my parents' place and returned home the next day. My mother-in-law wasn't home, and Jian had gone to work. I took a photo of the notarized document and sent it to Jian. This is the notarization of my premarital assets. The bracelet is clearly listed. Tell your mom to give it back to me. Jian replied quickly. You actually got it notarized? Yes. Why did you do that back then? To protect myself. Jian fell silent. Half an hour later he sent a message. Mom says she wants to keep the bracelet, to use for Xiaolei's future wife. I stared at the screen, my hands trembling. Xiaolei, Jian's younger brother, is 25 years old. So, the reason my mother-in-law took my bracelet was to fund my brother-in-law's wedding. That was my property from before the marriage. What right do you have to give it to your brother? I typed out the message immediately. Linyu, can't you be a bit more generous? Jian replied. Xiaolei is getting married and the family needs money. You're part of the He family now. What's wrong with helping out? The problem is that it belonged to me before the marriage. You. He stopped replying. I sat on the sofa, my mind in a whirl. My mother-in-law intended to give my bracelet away for my brother-in-law's wedding. That had been her plan all along. That evening, my mother-in-law returned home. I stepped out of my room. Mom, Jian told me you're planning to give my bracelet to Xiaolei. That's right. My mother-in-law was completely unfazed. Xiaolei is getting married. He needs to give the bride's family a token gift. Your bracelet is perfect for that. But it belongs to me. You're part of the He family now, so what's yours belongs to the He family. She waved her hand dismissively. Besides, Xiaolei is Jian's brother. What's wrong with helping him? The problem is that you did it without my consent. I need your permission? She laughed. I'm the elder here, what I say goes. I took a deep breath. Mom, let me ask you. How much did you spend on buying a house for Xiaolei? My mother-in-law was stunned. How did you know? Xiaolei told me. I stared at her. 500,000, right? Her expression shifted. You spent 500,000 buying a house for Xiaolei, and now you want to take my 80,000 yuan bracelet to fund his wedding? I smiled. Mom, don't you think that's going too far? That's different. How is it different? Xiaolei is my son. It's only natural for me to spend money on him. She spoke with righteous indignation. You're my daughter-in-law. Your possessions belong to the He family too. I can use them however I please. I looked at her. Finally clicked. She never saw me as family. She only saw me as a tool. Mom, I'm saying this one last time. I remained calm. You have to give the bracelet back. If you don't, I'm calling the police. Call the police? She sneered. You think the cops care about something like this? Misappropriating someone else's property is against the law, I said. I have the purchase receipt and a notarized premarital asset agreement. Proof enough that the bracelet is mine. If you refuse to return it, I will call the police and sue you. Her face changed. You wouldn't dare. Just watch me. I turned and walked back to my room. I was going to get that bracelet back. When Jian came home that evening, my mother-in-law complained to him again. Your wife is threatening to report me, she sobbed. She says she's going to sue me. He Jian banged on my door, his face livid. Lin Yu, come out here. I opened the door. What exactly do you want? He shouted. I want my bracelet back, I said calmly. It's just a bracelet. Is it really worth making such a fuss? 80,000, that's not a small sum. So what? He Jian glared at me. My mom was just keeping it safe for you. What's the problem? Why do you have to make things so ugly? He Jian, let me ask you something. I looked him in the eye. If it were your money and someone took it, what would you do? That's different. How is it different? My mom is an elder. Does being an elder give her the right to just take my things? She didn't just take it. She was keeping it safe. He Jian sounded agitated. Lin Yu, can't you be a bit more reasonable? I smiled. He Jian, what did you say before we got married? He froze. You said, Mom is just like that, don't take it to heart. I'll protect you. I looked at him. And now? Have you protected me? He Jian fell silent. You didn't, I continued. Before we married, you said you'd protect me. But after the wedding, you took your mother's side, calling me immature, petty, and difficult. He Jian, you've changed. Forget it. I cut him off. I don't want to argue. I need that bracelet back. If your mother won't return it, I'm calling the police. Have you lost your mind? He Jian glared at me. That's my mother. If you dare call the police, I'll divorce you. Suit yourself. I closed the door. I felt calm. If divorce was the price for getting the bracelet back, I was willing to pay it. He Jian stood outside the door for a long time before finally leaving. I sat on the bed and called Xiaomei. Are they still refusing to give it back? Xiaomei asked. Yeah, I said. And my mother-in-law said she plans to use the bracelet for my brother-in-law's future wife. What? Xiaomei was furious. On what grounds? She claims that since I married into the He family, whatever is mine belongs to the family. What kind of bullshit logic is that? Xiaomei said. Lin Yu, don't be afraid, call the police. You have to call the police. He Jian said if I call the police, he'll divorce me. Then let him. Xiaomei said firmly. You're better off without a mama's boy like that. I smiled. I think so too. After hanging up, I sent a message to Lawyer Chen. Lawyer Chen, the other party refuses to return it. I want to report this to the police. Lawyer Chen replied promptly. You can do that. Go to the local police station to file a report first, and I'll prepare a lawyer's letter for you. The next day I went to the police station. The officer listened to my account and examined my evidence. Was the bracelet purchased before your marriage? Yes. I produced the receipt and the notarized document. Here is the purchase receipt. And here is the notarized certificate of premarital property. The officer studied them carefully. The evidence is complete. Your mother-in-law's refusal to return the item does indeed amount to suspected misappropriation. So what should I do? We'll call your mother-in-law first and ask her to come to the station to explain the situation, the officer said. If she still refuses to return it, you can file a civil lawsuit. Okay. The officer called my mother-in-law. Is this Ms. Zhang Xiuqin? We are calling from the XX police station. Your daughter-in-law, Lin Yu, has filed a report alleging that you have misappropriated her gold bracelet. Please come to the station this afternoon to explain the situation. On the other end of the line, my mother-in-law's voice was loud. Misappropriation? That belongs to my daughter-in-law. What's wrong with me keeping it safe for a while? If it is her premarital property, you have no right to hold on to it, the officer said. Please come to the station at 2 p.m. After hanging up, the officer looked at me. You can go home and wait for an update. Thank you. I stepped out of the police station and my phone rang. It was He Jian. Did you really call the police? His voice was trembling. Yes. Lin Yu, have you lost your mind? He Jian shouted. You made my mom go to the police station? Do you have any idea how we're supposed to hold our heads up in the neighborhood after this? What does that have to do with me? You. He Jian was speechless. He Jian, I'm going to say this one last time. I remained calm. Tell your mom to return the bracelet to me and we can drop the matter. If she doesn't, I'm going to proceed with legal action. Can't you just back down a little? Why should I? I laughed. He Jian, it was your mom who took my things, not the other way around. Why should I be the one to back down? He Jian fell silent. I hung up the phone. At 2 p.m., my mother-in-law went to the police station. He Jian took time off work to accompany her. I was there too. The officer called us together. Ms. Zhang, Lin Yu claims you took her gold bracelet. Is that true? It is. My mother-in-law sounded indignant. But that belongs to my daughter-in-law. What's wrong with me keeping it safe for a while? Did you get her permission? Why would I need her permission? She said. She married into the He family, so her things belong to the He family. That may be your view, but it doesn't align with the law, the police officer said. The evidence Lin Yu provided shows that she purchased this bracelet before the marriage. It is her separate premarital property and is protected by law. You have no right to keep it. The mother-in-law was stunned. Furthermore, Lin Yu has a notarized agreement regarding her premarital assets, and the bracelet is explicitly listed in the document, the officer continued. If you refuse to return it, she can sue you for misappropriation. Misappropriation? The mother-in-law's expression changed. Yes, the officer said. Misappropriating another person's property, if the circumstances are serious, can result in a prison sentence of up to 2 years. The mother-in-law fell silent. He Jian, standing nearby, spoke up anxiously. Officer, my mom didn't mean any harm. She just wanted to keep it safe for a while. Safekeeping requires the owner's consent, the officer said. Lin Yu has clearly stated she does not consent and is demanding its return. You must return it. The mother-in-law looked at me, her eyes filled with hatred. Lin Yu, are you trying to drive me to my death? Mom, you were the one who took my things, I said calmly. I'm simply asking for what belongs to me. You. Ms. Zhang, you have 2 choices now, the officer interrupted. First, return the bracelet to Lin Yu, and the matter ends there. Second, refuse to return it. Lin Yu will sue you, and you will not only have to return the bracelet but also face legal consequences. The choice is yours. My mother-in-law remained silent. He Jian tugged at her arm. Mom, just give it back to her. I'm not giving it back, she suddenly declared. The bracelet is lost. I was stunned. What did you say? The bracelet is lost. She looked straight at me. I kept it at home, but someone stole it. I smiled. Mom, you're saying the bracelet is lost? Yes, it's lost. Fine then. I turned to the officer. Officer, I want to report a theft. My bracelet has been stolen. It's worth 80,000 yuan. My mother-in-law's expression changed. Go ahead and report it then, she said defiantly, jutting out her chin. All right. I nodded. Officer, I am filing a report. The officer looked at my mother-in-law. Ms. Zhang, if the bracelet is truly lost, we will open an investigation. But if we find out you are lying, that constitutes obstruction of official duties, and the consequences will be much more serious. My mother-in-law fell silent. He Jian grew anxious. Mom, just tell the truth. She gritted her teeth. I have the bracelet. So aren't you going to return it? The officer asked. She looked at me and after a long pause said, I'll return it. That evening, my mother-in-law tossed the bracelet onto the table. Here, take it. I picked up the bracelet and examined it closely. It weighed 8 yen. There were no scratches. It was mine. Lin Yu, are you satisfied now? My mother-in-law sneered. You made me lose face at the police station over a bracelet. Are you satisfied? Mom, you were the one who took my property, I said. I was just reclaiming what belongs to me. Don't give me that. My mother-in-law pointed a finger at me. You did it on purpose. You just wanted to humiliate me. I didn't. Still making excuses? Her anger mounted as she spoke. Do you realize that several neighbors saw me leaving the police station today? How am I supposed to face anyone now? I fell silent. He Jian sat on the sofa saying nothing. He Jian, aren't you going to do something about this? My mother-in-law asked, looking at her son. Mom, you were the one who took the bracelet in the first place, He Jian said quietly. So what if I took it? She shouted. She's my daughter-in-law. What's wrong with me keeping her things safe for a while? But that bracelet was Lin Yu's before we were married. What difference does it make whether it was before or after the wedding? She said. It all belongs to the He family anyway. He Jian fell silent. Clutching the bracelet, I turned and walked back to my room. I closed the door and sat on the bed. I had the bracelet back, but I felt utterly exhausted. I didn't want to stay in that house anymore. The next day, I went back to my parents' home. When Mom saw me, her eyes welled up. Did you get the bracelet back? I did. I took the bracelet out. That's good. Mom held my hand. Lin Yu, you've suffered. I shook my head. Dad sat nearby, his face grim. This marriage. It can't go on. I was stunned. Dad. Taking your things the very day after the wedding. What kind of mother-in-law is that? Dad said. And what about He Jian? Did he stand up for you? No. He took his mother's side. Dad is right, Mom said. Lin Yu, you can't stay in that house. Get a divorce sooner rather than later. Don't drag it out. I lowered my head. Deep down I knew it too. Jian had changed. Before the wedding, he had been gentle and considerate. After the wedding, he was like a different person. Let me think about it, I said. I stayed at my parents' place for 3 days, and Jian called countless times. Lin Yu, when are you coming back? I'm at my parents' place. Are you still angry? Jian asked. Didn't you get the bracelet back? I'm not angry. Then when are you coming back? I don't know. Jian fell silent. Lin Yu, let's have a proper talk, he finally said. Come back and we'll talk. I hung up the phone. On the 4th day I went back. Jian was home but his mother wasn't. You're back, he said, standing up. Sit down. Jian pointed to the sofa. Let's talk. I sat down. Lin Yu, I know you've been treated unfairly these past few days, Jian said. But you need to understand my mom too. I looked at him. Understand what? People of my mom's generation just have that kind of mindset, Jian said. She feels that whatever belongs to a daughter-in-law belongs to the husband's family. It's not personal. That's just how she thinks. So that gives her the right to just take my things? She didn't just take them. She wanted to keep them safe for a while. Keep them safe. I laughed. Jian, listen to what you're saying. Lin Yu. Jian, what did you say before we got married? I interrupted him. You said, Mom is just like that, don't take it to heart. I'll look out for you. But now? Have you looked out for me? Jian fell silent. You haven't, I continued. From start to finish you've taken your mom's side. You called me stingy, petty and immature. Jian, you've changed. I haven't changed. You have. I was certain. The man I knew before we married wasn't like this. Jian kept his head down. After a long pause he finally spoke. Lin Yu, I'm in a really difficult position too. What's the dilemma? You're my wife and my mom is my mom, Jian said. I'm caught in the middle. What am I supposed to do? I looked at him. Suddenly it all seemed ridiculous. Jian, you aren't caught in the middle, I said. You're on your mom's side. From start to finish you've been on her side. Forget it. I stood up. Let's get a divorce. Jian was stunned. What did you say? I said, let's get a divorce. I was perfectly calm. I'm done with this marriage. Lin Yu, calm down. Jian sounded anxious. It's just a bracelet, isn't it? Is that really grounds for divorce? It's not about the bracelet. I looked at him. It's that I finally see you for who you really are. Lin Yu. Jian, you lied to me before we got married. I cut him off. You promised you'd protect me and stand by my side. But what happened? The moment we were married, you showed your true colors. Jian's expression changed. What do you mean? I took out my phone and pulled up a screenshot. It was a chat log between Jian and a friend from before the wedding. I had stumbled upon it by accident back then and hadn't paid much attention to it at the time, but now I had dug it up. The friend had asked, Lin Yu wants a notarized agreement regarding premarital assets. Did you agree to it? Jian had replied, Sure, I agreed. Let's just get her through the door first. Once we're married she'll have to listen to whatever mom says. Friend. Haha, that was a brilliant move. Jian. You bet. I held my phone up in front of him. Jian, look at this, these are your own words. Jian turned deathly pale. You were plotting against me even before we got married. I smiled. You agreed to the prenuptial agreement not out of respect for me, but because you wanted to get me through the door first and then make me do whatever your mother said. Jian was speechless. Jian, I really misjudged you, I said. I thought you truly loved me, but it turns out you just wanted an obedient daughter-in-law. Lin Yu, it's not like that. Enough. I cut him off. Let's get a divorce. No. Jian suddenly grabbed my hand. Lin Yu, I don't agree to a divorce. I shook him off. Whether you agree or not, it's happening. Lin Yu. I walked into the room and started packing my things. Jian followed me in. Don't do this. Let's talk it over properly. There's nothing to talk about. I stuffed my clothes into the suitcase. I've made up my mind. Lin Yu, give me another chance. Jian pleaded. I'll change, I promise. I'll protect you from now on. It's too late. I dragged my suitcase out. Jian blocked the doorway. You can't leave. Move. No. I looked at him. Jian, if you don't step aside right now, I'm calling the police. Jian was stunned, but eventually he stepped aside. I walked out the door without looking back. The divorce was finalized a month later. Jian didn't agree at first, but I had Lawyer Chan send a formal legal notice. If you don't agree to the divorce, I'll sue. Jian finally agreed. In the divorce settlement, I reclaimed all my premarital assets, 150,000 in savings and a bracelet worth 80,000, a total of 230,000. As for the 180,000 in Siley betrothal gifts, Jian said he wanted half of it back. I refused. You keep the betrothal money, I don't want it. Jian was taken aback. Why? Because I find it filthy. I signed the papers and left with my divorce certificate. My mother-in-law's parting words were, Lin Yu, you're going to regret this. I smiled. I won't. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sunlight was dazzling. I stood at the entrance and took a deep breath. Freedom felt amazing. My best friend Xiaomei was there to pick me up. Is it done? It's done. Feel good. It feels great. Xiaomei smiled. Come on, I'm treating you to a feast. We went to a Western restaurant. So Lin Yu, what's the plan? Xiaomei asked. Move out and find a place to live first, I said. Then focus on my work. Right, work hard, live well. Xiaomei raised her glass. To freedom. To freedom. I took a sip of water, suddenly feeling a stinging warmth in my eyes. This past month had been truly exhausting, but it was worth it. I had paid 80,000 yuan for a lesson, seeing someone's true colors, and it was worth the price. Xiaomei noticed my reaction. Don't be sad. A man like that isn't worth it. I know, I said with a smile. I'm not sad. I was just thinking, thank goodness I had a prenuptial agreement regarding my assets. Otherwise, I'd be in a real mess. Exactly, Xiaomei said. That's why a woman has to protect herself. Emichim. The next day, I started looking for a place to live. After viewing several options, I finally rented a one-bedroom apartment. The rent was 3,000 a month. Not expensive, and the location was great. Xiaomei came over to help me move. You don't have that much stuff, she remarked. Right. Everything I took belongs to me, I said with a smile. I didn't keep a single thing of theirs. Good. It's best to make a clean break. We spent the afternoon packing and unpacking, finally getting everything settled. That night I lay in bed in my new home, staring up at the ceiling. This was my own home. Small perhaps, but warm and cozy. My phone rang. It was Jian. I hesitated, then decided not to answer. He called again. I turned off my phone. Life after the divorce was peaceful. I went to get off work and came home every day, occasionally going shopping with Xiaomei. Sometimes I would think of Jian, but the thought would quickly fade. 3 months later I got a promotion at work. I was promoted from accountant to finance supervisor, and my monthly salary rose to 25,000 yuan. Congratulations, my colleague said. Thank you. I treated everyone to a meal. That evening I called my parents. Dad, Mom, I got a promotion. Really? Mom was delighted. Lin Yu, that's wonderful. Yeah, my monthly salary is 25,000 now. That's great, Dad said. Daughter, as long as you're doing well, we can rest easy. I'm doing very well. I smiled. Much better than when I was married. That's good to hear. After hanging up, I sat on the balcony gazing at the night view. The city lights were beautiful. I thought back to a year ago when I was still fretting over that bracelet. Looking back now, all that was in the past. I was free. 6 months later, I had saved enough for a down payment and bought an apartment. It was a one-bedroom unit, 50 square meters, priced at 30,000 yuan per square meter, for a total of 1.5 million yuan. The down payment was 450,000 yuan. My existing savings plus what I'd saved over those 6 months were just enough to cover it. I went to sign the contract alone. Holding the keys and standing inside my new home, I felt a lump in my throat. This was my own place. My name is the only one on the property deed. No Jian, no mother-in-law, just me. The renovation took 2 months. I handled the design and bought the furniture myself. Every detail is exactly to my liking. Xiaomei came over the day I moved in. Lin Yu, this place is wonderful, she said. So cozy. Thank you. We sat on the balcony sipping red wine. Lin Yu, you've changed this past year, Xiaomei remarked. Changed? Yes. Xiaomei looked at me. You used to be a bit soft, but now you're so bold and confident. I smiled, because I realized that a woman has to be strong on her own. Exactly. Xiaomei clinked her glass against mine. That night, after Xiaomei left, I sat alone on the balcony. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I glanced at it but didn't answer. A moment later it rang again. It was the same number. I hesitated for a moment, then turned off my phone. The night outside was beautiful with the moon hanging in the sky. I thought back to this day a year ago when I was still fretting over that bracelet. Now I have my own home, a better job, and my freedom. And Jian? I don't know and I don't want to know. Let the past stay in the past. I stood up and walked into the room. Tomorrow is a new day.